April 15, 1945. 2:43 p.m. Southern Okinawa. Lieutenant Yamada kneels in a limestone cave, his hands trembling as he counts rifle cartridges. 1, 2, 3, 47 rounds remaining, for himself and 12 men. His orders are written on rice paper, now smudged with dirt and sweat. 5 rounds per man per day. Make every shot count. When ammunition exhausted, fix bayonets. Yamada looks at his soldiers, hollow-eyed, gaunt. They haven't had a full meal in 3 weeks. The last resupply, drums thrown from a destroyer and supposed to float ashore, never arrived, but they still have 47 rounds, 47 chances, 47 Americans, then it's over. Cut to Beach Red 2, Northern Okinawa. Same day, 3:17 p.m. Lieutenant Robert Hayes, 96th Infantry Division, U.S. Army, stands beside an ammunition dump that stretches beyond the horizon. Wooden crates stacked in pyramids, 20 feet high, 50 yards deep. And this is just one dump. There are dozens more. A private approaches. "Sir, we're running low on .30 caliber for the bars," Hayes points. "Third row, east side. Take a jeep, grab 20 cases. 20 cases? That's 12,000 rounds. I know, take it, there's plenty." The private's eyes widen. 12,000 rounds. That's more ammunition than some Japanese companies had for their entire Okinawa deployment. Hayes lights a cigarette and watches ships unloading at the beach. More crates, more ammunition, more everything. The contrast is almost incomprehensible. One side counts bullets. The other side counts tons. This isn't just a battle, it's mathematics. And the equation was solved before the first shot was fired. Rewind, December 1944, Luzon, Philippines. Major Hideaki Tanaka stands beside his artillery piece, a Type 91 105mm howitzer, and watches his gunner load the last shell. The last shell. Not the last shell in this magazine. Not the last shell for today, the last shell. Period. "Fire," Tanaka orders. The gun roars. The shell arcs toward American positions 3 kilometers away. Impact. Explosion. And then silence. The gun crew stands motionless. One of them starts to speak, then stops. What is there to say? "Strip the gun," Tanaka finally orders. "We're infantry now." They dismantle the breech mechanism, render the weapon useless. Can't let the Americans capture a working artillery piece. Then they pick up their rifles and join the retreat into the mountains. This scene is repeating itself across the Pacific. Artillery battalions firing their last rounds. Tank units abandoning vehicles when fuel runs out. Air wings grounded because there's no aviation gasoline. The Japanese military is running out of everything. Admiral Yamamoto warned about this in 1942 before Midway, in a conversation that haunted Japan's military leadership. He could hold the Americans for 6 months, maybe a year. But after that, the arithmetic becomes impossible. By late 1944, American submarines are sinking Japanese merchant ships faster than Japan can build them. In the first year of war, the U.S. submarine force sank 142 ships. By summer 1943, the toll approached 1 ship per day. Each sinking is a cascade of shortages. No ships means no oil from the East Indies, no tin from Malaya, no rice from Indochina, no rubber, no bauxite, no iron ore. The Japanese war economy begins to suffocate. Supply convoys to isolated garrisons become suicide missions. Destroyers race down the slot at night, hoping to drop supplies and escape before dawn brings American aircraft. They try the drum method, filling empty fuel drums with rice and ammunition, throwing them overboard near beaches, hoping currents carry them ashore. Most drums float out to sea, or sink, or are destroyed by American patrol boats. Guadalcanal in late 1942 shows the future. Japanese soldiers, cut off from resupply, begin to starve. They eat grass, tree bark, insects, comrades who die from disease or wounds. They call it Starvation Island. Soldiers throw away their rifles, no ammunition, and they're too weak to carry the weight. Units dissolve. Men wander the jungle looking for food, for shelter, for any reason to keep living. A captured diary from Guadalcanal, later translated by American intelligence. November 3rd, no food for 4 days. Kobayashi died last night. We are too weak to bury him. November 7th, found some roots, made me sick. November 11th, orders to attack. How? We can barely walk. November 15th, the entry ends. The soldier presumably died. This is December 1942. By 1945, it gets worse. Tokyo, March 1945. Civilians wake to find notices posted at neighborhood associations, new rations announced. The daily food allocation has dropped to 1,800 calories per person, down from 2,400 at the war's start. 1,800 calories. That's starvation. Slow starvation, but starvation nonetheless. Families trade heirlooms for black market rice, a wedding kimono for a sack of grain, a family sword for 3 dried fish. The government's response: patriotic exhortation. 100 million hearts beating as one. Luxury is the enemy. Eat less, work harder, fight to the death. Easy to say when you're not hungry. The military gets priority for what little remains. Soldiers before civilians. The Navy before the Army. Combat units before garrison units. But there's not enough for anyone. In Manchuria, Japanese garrisons are stripped to reinforce the Pacific. In China, armies occupying vast territories run low on bullets and artillery shells. In the Philippines, General Yamashita's forces retreat into mountains with dwindling supplies. And the Americans keep coming. The mathematics are brutal. Japan starts the war with 6 months of oil reserves. 6 months. The entire war strategy depends on capturing oil fields in the East Indies and holding them long enough to matter. But American submarines cut the tanker routes, B-29s bomb refineries. By 1945, oil imports have dropped 90%. No oil means no fuel for ships, no fuel for aircraft, no fuel for trucks supplying forward units. The Japanese military begins converting to charcoal-burning engines, horse-drawn wagons, manual labor, medieval solutions to industrial warfare. Ammunition production suffers. Explosives require chemicals. Chemicals require oil derivatives. Less oil means fewer shells, fewer bullets, fewer bombs. By early 1945, ammunition is rationed across the military. Artillery batteries receive allocation, so many shells per day per week. Use them wisely. Infantry units receive bullets like precious metal. Officers sign for every round. Quartermasters keep ledgers tracking expenditures. One sergeant on Iwo Jima remembers receiving his company's ammunition allotment. We got 1,500 rounds for 80 men. That's less than 20 rounds per man. I thought there was a mistake. There wasn't. 20 rounds per man to defend against an American Marine division. The Japanese doctrine shifts. No more banzai charges in daylight, too expensive in men and bullets. Instead, fight from fortifications. Conserve ammunition. Make every shot count. But conservation has limits. You can ration bullets. You can't ration defeat. Iwo Jima, February 19, 1945. General Tadamichi Kuribayashi reads the dispatch from Tokyo one final time before burning it. The message is clear. No reinforcements, no resupply. Fight with what you have. What he has is 21,000 men and finite ammunition, so Kuribayashi changes tactics. No defense at the beach. Artillery expends too much ammunition firing at landing craft. Instead, retreat into tunnels. 11 miles of underground passages connecting bunkers, gun positions, observation posts. Every position sited to maximize ammunition efficiency. Interlocking fields of fire. Ambush points. Kill zones. His orders to subordinates are explicit. Every man must kill 10 Americans before dying. The math is simple. 21,000 defenders killing 10 Americans each equals 210,000 American casualties. Kuribayashi knows it won't work. The Americans will win. But if he can make it expensive enough, maybe they'll reconsider invading the Japanese home islands. Maybe. The battle lasts 36 days. Japanese positions fight until physically overrun. Machine gun crews fire until the barrels melt. Riflemen shoot until they're down to their last magazine, then fix bayonets. American Marines find defensive positions after the fighting ends. They count ammunition. Some positions have empty shell casings by the hundreds, machine gun nests that fought to the end. Others have just a few spent cartridges, 5 rounds, 8 rounds, 12 rounds. That's all they had. One bunker yields a discovery that haunts the Marines who find it. A Japanese sergeant kept a ledger. Each page lists a date, rounds expended, estimated enemy casualties. February 23rd fired 27 rounds, 3 Americans killed, 2 wounded, estimated. February 24th fired 18 rounds, 2 Americans killed, confirmed. February 25th fired 31 rounds, 4 Americans killed, 3 wounded, estimated. The ledger continues for 12 days, then stops, presumably when the sergeant died. The final tally, 387 rounds expended, estimated 43 American casualties. Less than 9 rounds per kill, exceptional marksmanship, brutal efficiency, and completely insufficient. Because the Americans aren't counting bullets, they're counting tons. Norfolk, Virginia, January 1945. The Liberty ship SS Robert F. Lee loads cargo for the Pacific. Stevedores work around the clock. Crates swing from dockside cranes into the holds. Ammunition, all ammunition, 5,000 tons of it. 30 caliber rifle rounds, 45 caliber pistol ammunition, 50 caliber machine gun belts, 60 millimeter mortar shells, 81 millimeter mortar shells, 105 millimeter artillery shells, 155 millimeter shells, hand grenades, rifle grenades, Bangalore torpedoes, one ship, 5,000 tons. And the Robert F. Lee is one of dozens sailing that week. This is American industrial capacity in 1945, overwhelming, incomprehensible to enemies who started the war thinking America was soft, decadent, unwilling to fight. America is willing and able. By 1944, the United States is producing 1 merchant ship per day. Every day. Liberty ships rolling down the ways in Baltimore, Portland, San Francisco. Building ships faster than Germany and Japan combined can sink them. Each ship carries supplies, food, fuel, equipment, ammunition. Mountains of ammunition. The philosophy is simple. Why risk soldiers when you can expend shells? American tactical doctrine emphasizes firepower, overwhelming, crushing, excessive firepower. When you encounter resistance, you don't maneuver around it. You blast it, artillery, naval gunfire, airstrikes. Then infantry advances through the rubble. It's expensive, it's also effective. The Marianas operation in June 1944 shows the scale. 600 ships, 300,000 men, more than 1 ton of supplies per soldier. 1 ton per soldier. A single supply ship carries rations for 90,000 men for a month. Mecher's Carrier Task Force brings 8 million gallons of aviation fuel. The fleet burns 4 million barrels of bunker oil during the operation. The supplies are combat-loaded, organized so specific items can be unloaded on demand. Need 105 millimeter shells. They're in Hold 3, Section B, marked and inventoried. 40,000 discrete categories of supplies tracked, loaded, shipped, unloaded. This is logistics as industrial art, and the climax comes at Okinawa, April 1st, 1945, L-Day, Okinawa. The largest amphibious operation in the Pacific War begins. 1,300 ships converge on Okinawa. Battleships, aircraft carriers, cruisers, destroyers, transports, landing ships, supply vessels. The invasion force carries 180,000 assault troops. Eventually, 300,000 Americans will serve on Okinawa, but it's the ammunition, that tells the story. 650,000 tons, let that sink in. 650,000 tons of ammunition landed on Okinawa. That's 1,300,000,000 pounds. If you loaded it into trucks, you'd need 43,000 trucks. Bumper to bumper, they'd stretch from New York to Los Angeles. If you stacked the ammunition crates, you could build a wall around Manhattan, twice. The numbers are almost abstract, too large to comprehend. So let's make it concrete. Beach dumps on Okinawa stretch for acres. Wooden crates stacked in pyramids 20 feet high. .30 caliber ammunition, the standard rifle and machine gun round. Americans land enough to fire every rifle in the entire U.S. military continuously for a week. 75mm pack howitzer shells, 105mm artillery shells, 155mm long tom shells, enough to fire every artillery piece in 10th Army for months without resupply. Hand grenades measured in hundreds of thousands, mortar shells by tens of thousands, rockets, flamethrower fuel, demolition charges, bazookas, mines, everything. Sergeant James Mitchell, 1st Marine Division, remembers walking past a supply dump. I stopped counting crates. It was pointless. We had so much ammunition I couldn't imagine using it all. And that was just one dump. There were dozens. Supply officers track inventory with clipboards and ledgers. A lieutenant keeps a running tally. We have enough .30 caliber to sustain operations for 6 months without resupply. We have enough 81mm mortar shells for 4 months. We have enough grenades for 8 months. This is April. The battle will last until June. They'll use perhaps half of what they landed. The other half? Excess. Insurance. The American way of war. Because running out is unacceptable. Meanwhile, in caves and tunnels across southern Okinawa, Japanese soldiers count their remaining bullets and wonder if they'll have enough to last the week. May 8th, 1945. Sugarloaf Hill, Okinawa. Captain Howard Mabey, 29th Marines, needs to take a fortified position. Standard Japanese defensive setup, reinforced cave, machine gun nest, interlocking fields of fire. 30 or 40 defenders, maybe 50. Mabey's approach? Textbook American. Mortars put 50 rounds on that cave entrance. The 81mm mortars fire, 50 shells. Explosions ripple across the hillside. Smoke and dust. Okay, bring up the flamethrower tank. An M4 Sherman with a flamethrower instead of a 75mm gun advances. Shoots liquid fire into the cave. The napalm burns at over 1,000 degrees, still taking fire. Naval gunfire, give me a destroyer. Radio call to offshore support, USS Cassin Young responds. 5-inch guns, 10 rounds, precision fire from a ship 3 miles away. The cave entrance collapses. Send in the infantry. Marines advance with rifles, grenades, satchel charges. They clear the position. Total Japanese casualties, 43 dead. No prisoners. Total American ammunition expended, 50 mortar shells. 20 gallons of napalm. 10 5-inch naval shells. Approximately 500 rifle rounds. 60 grenades. 1 position. 1 afternoon. Cost? Expensive, but cheaper than American lives. Mabey doesn't think twice about it. This is how Americans fight. You have unlimited ammunition, you use it. Contrast. Same day. 2 miles south. Lieutenant Yamada, remember him? From our opening, watches American forces advance toward his position. He has 38 rounds remaining, 11 men alive. His orders haven't changed. Make every shot count. Wait until they're within 100 meters, he tells his soldiers. Aim carefully, fire slowly, don't waste ammunition. The Americans advance, cautiously, spread out, covered by supporting fire, machine guns laying down suppressive fire, though no one's shooting at them yet. At 100 meters, Yamada gives the order. Fire. 11 rifles crack. 1 American falls, another wounded. The American response is immediate. mortars, artillery, machine guns. The hillside erupts. Yamada's men hunker down. The bombardment lasts 10 minutes. When it stops, they've lost 2 men, crushed by a shell. The Americans advance again. Yamada counts his remaining ammunition. 36 rounds. 9 men. They fire again. Hit 2 more Americans. The Americans respond with another bombardment. This one lasts 20 minutes. When it's over, Yamada has 4 men left. 28 rounds. This pattern repeats. Japanese shoot. Americans respond with overwhelming fire. Japanese casualties mount. By nightfall, Yamada has 2 men left, 14 rounds between them. He knows the mathematics. Tomorrow, maybe the day after, they'll be overrun. Not because they lack courage, not because they lack skill, because they lack bullets. May 27, 1945. Shuri Line, southern Okinawa. The Japanese defensive line is collapsing, not from lack of will, from lack of everything else. Major Yoshio Yoshida commands 3 companies, theoretically 300 men. In reality, he has 147 soldiers left, and dwindling ammunition. His morning report written on the back of an old map. Company A, 27 men, approximately 400 rounds rifle ammunition, 2 machine gun belts, 8 grenades. Company B, 34 men, approximately 300 rounds rifle ammunition, no machine gun ammunition, 6 grenades. Company C, 31 men, approximately 500 rounds rifle ammunition, 1 machine gun belt, 4 grenades. Total, 200 rounds, maybe 1 day of defensive fighting if we're careful. The dispatch from 32nd Army Headquarters offers no comfort. Continue resistance with whatever means available. Every day of resistance serves the Empire. Yoshida understands what whatever means available means. When the bullets run out, fix bayonets. When the grenades run out, use rocks. When everything runs out, charge. Die fighting. It's not strategy. It's desperation dressed as duty. The American assault begins at dawn. Artillery preparation, hundreds of shells pounding Japanese positions. Then, the advance. Yoshida's companies fight carefully. Aimed shots. No wasted ammunition. By noon, they're down to 500 rounds. By mid-afternoon, 200. By dusk, Company A has fired its last rifle round. Yoshida gives the order he's been dreading. Fix bayonets. The survivors, 19 men from Company A, check their bayonets. No ammunition, no grenades, just steel blades and desperation. They charge. All 19 die. The American response uses more ammunition than Company A had for the entire campaign. A Marine sergeant later reports, "They came at us with bayonets. Just running and screaming. We cut them down. Didn't even need to aim, just pointed and fired. It was... I don't know. Brave, stupid, both? The mathematics are brutal. One side counts rounds. The other side doesn't need to count." The final accounting on Okinawa tells the story in blood. Japanese military casualties, approximately 100,000 killed, fewer than 8,000 captured, and most of those too wounded to commit suicide. Okinawan civilian casualties, another 100,000 dead. Caught between armies. Killed by American bombardment. Killed by Japanese soldiers who viewed them as security risks, many committing suicide rather than face American barbarians. American casualties, 12,000 dead, 38,000 wounded, grievous losses. The worst land battle in the Pacific War for American forces. But the Americans could sustain those casualties. Replacements arrived, fresh divisions, well supplied, fully equipped. The Japanese could not. Every position fought until overrun. Every soldier fought until killed, and when they died, they stayed dead. No replacements, no resupply, just mathematics. Private First Class Eugene Sledge, 1st Marine Division, describes finding a Japanese position after days of bombardment. "We found them in a cave, Must have been 15 or 20 of them, dead at their gun positions. They'd fired until they ran out of ammunition, then waited for us. We found maybe 30 empty shell casings, that's all. 30 shells for a heavy machine gun, then nothing. Another Marine patrol reports a similar finding, a Japanese platoon position, 32 soldiers dead, empty rifles beside them. We counted the shell casings, tried to understand how much they'd fired. One guy had 7 empty casings next to him. 7 shots. That's all his ammunition. 7 shots. Then he waited for us with a bayonet. This is the reality of the supply war. Japanese soldiers fighting with heroic efficiency, making every bullet count, dying with empty weapons. American soldiers fighting with overwhelming abundance, taking positions with firepower that would have supplied an entire Japanese battalion. The contrast is obscene and decisive. Step back. Look at the larger picture. Okinawa's ammunition disparity wasn't an anomaly. It was the Pacific War in microcosm. Japan entered the war with limited resources, 6 months of oil, limited industrial capacity, dependence on imports that had to travel thousands of miles through hostile waters. The war strategy depended on quick victory, capture resource areas, force America to negotiate, end the war before the arithmetic became impossible. But America didn't negotiate. America mobilized. Factories that built cars switched to building tanks. Shipyards launched carriers. Oil fields pumped crude that became aviation fuel, diesel, gasoline. Ammunition plants ran 3 shifts 24 hours a day. By 1943, American production exceeded Japan's by a factor of 10. By 1944, 20. By 1945, the ratio was meaningless because Japan's production was collapsing. Admiral Yamamoto saw this coming. I fear we have awakened a sleeping giant. He was right. The giant's strength wasn't courage. Both sides had brave soldiers. The giant's strength wasn't tactics. Japanese tactics were often superior. The giant's strength was industrial capacity. Factories, shipyards, oil fields, ammunition plants, rail networks, the ability to produce, transport, and supply forces across the largest ocean on Earth. 650,000 tons of ammunition on one island. That number encapsulates the Pacific War. Japan couldn't match it, couldn't come close, couldn't even comprehend it. One Japanese officer captured on Okinawa sees an American supply dump during transport to a POW camp. He stares silently for several minutes. Finally, he speaks to his interpreter. Now I understand why we lost. Return to Lieutenant Yamada, the Japanese officer counting 47 bullets in a cave on Okinawa. He died on May 16, 1945, leading the remnants of his platoon, 3 men, in a final charge. They had 4 rounds remaining between them. They fired those 4 rounds. Then they charged with bayonets. All 4 died. Return to Lieutenant Hayes, the American officer walking past mountains of ammunition crates. He survived Okinawa, went home to Iowa, married, raised 3 children, died in 1987 at age 65. He kept a diary during the war. One entry from Okinawa stands out. Saw Japanese position today after we took it. Found 7 enemy dead. Counted their remaining ammunition. 3 bullets. 3. For 7 men. How were they supposed to fight? How were we supposed to lose? The 650,000 tons of ammunition landed on Okinawa tells you everything about why Japan lost the Pacific War. Not because Japanese soldiers lacked courage, they fought with desperate bravery. Not because American soldiers were better trained, training was roughly equivalent, but because one side had bullets and the other didn't. After the battle, American supply officers take inventory. Despite 3 months of intense combat, despite firing millions of rounds, despite naval bombardments and artillery barrages and the most intense fighting in the Pacific War, they have ammunition left over, thousands of tons, unused excess. Meanwhile, archaeologists still find Japanese defensive positions on Okinawa, in caves, in bunkers, in collapsed tunnels. They find skeletons beside weapons and shell casings. One position, 6 soldiers, 8 empty rifle cartridges. Another, 3 soldiers, 12 empty cartridges. Another, 1 soldier, 5 empty cartridges and a diary. The final entry, no ammunition remaining, fixed bayonet, long live the emperor. This is how the arithmetic of industrial warfare works. You can train the best soldiers, develop the finest tactics, inspire the greatest courage. But if you count bullets while your enemy counts tons, you lose. The war was decided in American factories, in Detroit assembly lines building trucks, in California shipyards launching supply vessels, in Texas refineries producing fuel oil, in Pennsylvania plants stamping out ammunition, long before the first Marine waded ashore at Okinawa. Admiral Nimitz said it best after the war. The war against Japan was won in America's factories and on America's farms, not on beaches, not in jungles, in factories. Japan counted bullets, America counted tons. The outcome was never in doubt. It was just mathematics.